I saw Fukkatsu no F today, and I have to tell you, that movie was incredible. Spoiler alerts, by the way. So, one of the great things about this movie is that they're starting to frame the Dragon Ball universe a little bit better. So, we have Frieza talking about characters like Lord Beerus and Majin Buu in the context of people his father told him not to fuck with. So, we're getting the idea that Frieza's race always knew about Majin Buu, a character who existed simply as an upscaled villain from Cell, who was an upscaled villain from Frieza. Now it sort of makes the exponential upscaling of the villains a little more reasonable than just they have to be tougher than before. So like Frieza's race, they're just naturally tough, you know? Cell's race. Cell is a creation, and it makes sense that he's crazy strong because his strength is limited only by the amount of people he can eat on a planet. So he'll, you know, he has an excuse. Majin Buu, always been unreasonably powerful. He's a demon of chaos. And he's been around for, you know, hundreds of millennia, so it would make sense that Frieza's race knew about him, and therefore, you know, knew to avoid him. Beyond that, they introduced a new character named Jocko, who's from another Akira Toriyama project, and he's a galactic patrolman of some sort, and he also has a lot of framing dialogue, a lot of arbitrary policies and rules and laws about the galaxy that pertain to certain characters, and it's just really interesting because he's so tongue-in-cheek. He's an atheist, which is really interesting because you try to talk to him about Beerus, the Lord of Destruction, and he acts like you're trying to shove propaganda down his throat. He's like, I'm not going to get into a galactic theology debate with you right now. And that sort of pokes fun at the touchiness in America regarding religion and religion debates. So it's sort of a funny joke. All in all, the comedy was not really lost in translation. It was actually... The timing is great, the voice actors were phenomenal. I thought that Funimation's cast did a pretty great job encompassing the action and the comedy without seeming too corny or foreign. As far as the action goes, we had some pretty amazing fighting sequences. Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Jocko, and Master Roshi, all fighting thousands of Frieza soldiers. I think it was something like 117 Frieza soldiers per fighter, according to Master Roshi. So he gets all buffed out. And what's really interesting is they all have their own fighting style. Tien seems to use his crane style, which is a mixture of like Kung Fu and Kung Po. Then you have Gohan, who is weaker. There's this inside joke where he's not as strong as he was in the Cell Saga or as strong as he was in the Buu Saga because he just hasn't been training. He's been studying. You know, he's been raising his daughter and stuff. The joke goes so far as to say he's so out of practice that he couldn't find his gi. So he's just wearing a green tracksuit because it was all he could find. But he's there. He has some pretty great moments. And in fact, his fighting style is some sort of redirection Aikido type thing. Because he is said to be holding back immensely. Not using his full force and going out of his way to be non-lethal with his attacks. So, he's not super weak, but he's not going to level the playing field like you would expect him to do in certain Dragon Ball Z areas. So, because Jocko and Master Roshi can't fly, they have their own sort of intriguing ground combat scenes. Specifically, Master Roshi, in his bulked out form, does a surprising amount of damage, considering Tien said that Yamcha and Chaozu were too weak to handle this battle, to which everybody in the theater cracked up because nobody likes Yamcha. You gotta cut Chaozu some slack because he's a little guy. He's never been terribly strong, but poor Yamcha. But yet Master Roshi can apparently handle them. I thought Master Roshi's power level was something like 139, and he's fighting Frieza soldiers who are supposed to be well in excess of like 20,000, but we're not going to go into power levels here. Although, Frieza did say something interesting. He said, he never had to train a day in his life. He never had to exert any effort. So they shoehorned his strength scaling in as he's actually training intensely for 4 months. So if one of the Frost Demon race, or whatever he is, trains and actually puts effort into strengthening his skills, he'll actually be unfathomably stronger than his base level power. So Frieza trains in Earth's orbit for like 4 months. Actually, Frieza says something pretty interesting about power levels. He says that if he were to actually put effort in and submit himself to intense training for 4 months, his power level could reach in excess of 1.3 million. And I thought that was kind of funny, because while that is huge compared to his base power level of something like 530,000 in his original first form, his power level in his second form was 1 million. So 1.3 million in some huge feat. He was supposed to be somewhere in excess of 12 million in his final form originally. So I don't know what that line was all about. Maybe it was billion and I missed it. But the power level thing is all irrelevant now anyway. So he can submit himself to rigorous training and increase his base power level, and apparently he can choose what his final form looks like. Because that ostentatious gold Frieza is not a god power. It's literally him choosing what his final form looks like. The big clincher, of course, is that apparently he rushed right to Earth as soon as he got that power, and he couldn't handle it. It was burning through. It's basically his version of Super Saiyan 3. It burned through his energy way too quick, and he was unable to pace himself against the Saiyans. Goku's blue hair form isn't really explained too well. I'm guessing that's so that we'll sit through more Dragon Ball Cho Super. See how that red-haired, skinny Saiyan God becomes a blue-haired Super Saiyan God. Your guess is as good as mine. But because of all the hype surrounding blue-haired Super Saiyan God Goku, nobody thought there would be any other surprises in the movie, and there were. I said spoiler alert already, but this was a pretty big one, because honestly I should have, but didn't see it coming. Vegeta can do it too. So Super Saiyan 3 is irrelevant, Super Saiyan 4 never existed, and Goku and Vegeta are finally at the same level. There's not some huge gulf of strength between Goku and Vegeta anymore, and I thought that was pretty cool. So, all in all, I gotta recommend this movie. It was pretty great. My only gripes are that Piccolo, who was once, twice, thrice a badass in the series, he killed Goku along with Raditz. He was going toe-to-toe with Frieza in his second form and actually was beating him. And he was beating Imperfect Cell when he fused with Kami. So, poor guy didn't have much to do in this movie. He was actually been given a run for his money by one of Frieza's tougher soldiers, I guess. I can't imagine any of his soldiers being more powerful than Imperfect Cell, but apparently that was the case. And the other thing was, there was no real Goten or Trunks. But all in all, the comedy was really on point, such that even if TFS tried to do an abridged version of it, it probably wouldn't even be any better. The comedy was really on point. Dragon Ball Z, Resurrection F, highly recommend it.